Hi, and welcome to this video where we're talking about the warm-up. Now, this is often neglected by runners to their detriment, and then they moan that they found it really difficult for the first 10 or 15 minutes of their run, and that's because they haven't warmed up. Now, if you've done a good enough warm-up, it should take about 10 or 15 minutes, and then you're really ready to go and do your best in your run, whatever type of run it happens to be. So please don't neglect the warm-up, don't ignore it, don't just go for a jog and then go for your run. That's not what a warm-up should be, and I'm going to talk you through what I think a really good warm-up is in this video, and then after this video I'll talk you through lots of different drills and why they're important too. So our warm-up is designed first of all to get your body physically prepared, but it's also really important to have you get your mind focused, switched on and ready to run too. So it's not just an aimless meander, which is fine to run like that sometimes, but if you're doing a particular kind of running session, you want to be intentional about how you're using your brain, making sure your mindset is on point so that you can physically do the best that you can. I like to split the warm-up into 2 or 3 parts. So one is about physiological preparation in terms of warming up the muscles and the joints so that you're in best place to start running. And then we do some running drills, which is the technical side of a warm-up, to make sure that we're giving the body prompts to make sure that it's moving properly. And then strides. And I'll talk to you about what strides means towards the end of this video. I would always recommend that you run for around about a mile in terms of a jog to warm up. If it feels like you're only just getting into running and that's kind of your limit in terms of how far you can run for anyway, then maybe a quarter of a mile or half a mile warm up. It's all got to be relative to the distance that you're covering, really. Would be great. Now, as long as you're doing that slow jog at the start of your warm-up slow enough, you won't be aggravating any muscles, you won't be potentially making yourself injury prone by doing this. So if you're overdoing it, you'll be breathing really heavily, and it should be quite obvious to you if your warming up jog is too quick, in which case you just need to slow down. And a good way to help you slow down is to have shorter steps in your jogging, and that will slow you down automatically. So in terms of our warm-up, a word I want you to think about is RAMP, R-A-M-P. So this is an acronym that I'm going to talk you through now. So R stands for raising, and in terms of raising, we're trying to raise our heart rate, we're trying to raise the amount of circulation of blood around our body and through our muscles. We're trying to raise our body temperature, so our core temperature and our muscle temperature. We're trying to raise the elasticity in our muscles as well. So all of those things come into R for raising. So that's one of the things that we want to do in our warm-up is raise things up. We also want to then activate, okay? And in terms of activating, we want to obviously activate our muscles so they're ready to work. We also want to activate our mind, and this is where the drills come in, because it really just get you to think about how your body is moving correctly, ready to be able to run efficiently and well. M stands for mobilizing. So in this, we're thinking about movement patterns of the body, mobilizing different movement patterns in the body, focusing particularly on our joints, so our shoulder joints, our hip joints, our knee joints and our ankle joints, because we do use our arms when we're running, so it's important to think about our shoulders too. A lot of people don't, but you need to. And then the ABCs for mobilizing, so that's thinking about agility, balance and coordination. And again, those 3 things come in terms of the running drills that I'm going to be talking about in future videos. And then the P of RAMP, so we've had raising, activating, mobilizing and now potentiating. And all that means is gradually increasing the stress on the body in preparation for your running, in preparation for the session. So what we really want is a jog first, then we'll do some running drills, and then we'll go into strides. So I've talked about the warming up part, so you go for a jog. The running drills all come in the next huge number of videos that you'll see. And the reason why there's so many videos is because I've explained each different running drill and then I've demonstrated it. So that's why you've got lots and lots and lots of small videos, so you can go back and look at each individual one quite easily without having to try and find them on a longer video. And then so the last part of this video is to tell you about strides. Now, strides is one of the things that lots of runners have heard of, but no one really knows or is a little bit clueless as to what they are or how to describe them. And I know because when I first got into running and asked people what they were, they couldn't really tell me, and everybody told me loads of different things. So I wanted to get the record straight and tell you exactly what they are and the benefit of them. So strides are simply progressions of you running from slow to fast and then back to slow again over a short distance. So you might start and then you get up to a kind of an 8 out of 10 speed effort and then slow back down again. So you're not going to get up to your maximum sprint pace, but you are going to start to get your legs working quite quickly. So this is really good for promoting leg turnover in preparation for your running session. So from a standing start, you're going to start running and then gradually build up and build up and build up the pace from here to say 2 lampposts away, for example. And then when you get to that second lamppost away, you'll be at quite a decent speed for you. And then you start to really gradually slow the speed down again for another 2 lampposts. So that would be 1 stride. Then you'll turn around and you'll do it the same coming back. So you want to do that 5 or 6 times normally over maybe 30 to 50 meters. That will really get the heart rate elevated again, which after you've done some running drills, you might find if they're quite static running drills that don't take a huge amount of effort in terms of cardiovascular effort, that you might find that your heart rate's gone back down to closer to normal. So you want to ramp that back up again, and you can do that by doing these strides. So it's also a really good way to start getting that heart rate elevated, but also to start getting your lungs working a little bit more. All right, so you might feel a little bit more out of breath by the end of doing those strides, but I can assure you that's just your body adjusting to the new efforts that you're asking it to do. It doesn't mean that you're going to stop being able to run properly. It doesn't mean that you're not going to be able to do the session that you want to do afterwards. It won't tire you out more too much. Okay, so it's not going to compromise your running session. It is actually going to aid you in being able to do your session properly. I had a session myself this week, speed session, and this thing exactly happened to me. So I was warmed up for 10 or 15 minutes, did some drills towards the end of that time, felt that my heart rate was kind of not where I wanted it to be for starting the session. So I did some strides, and that definitely helped me so that I could start the session properly. And what I found really interesting was when I started my session, which was intervals, and again, there'll be a video on that for you to, there is a video on that for you to watch about intervals in this module. What I found was that after each hard interval in my recovery time, when I was jogging, that jog got faster and faster and faster throughout my efforts, even though I was getting more tired, because my body was adapting to the speed and it didn't feel as hard later on because I'd warmed up really well and because my body was, loose enough, my muscles were loose enough, my joints were loose enough that it felt comfortable because my body was in a really good place then. And yours will too in time, but just trust the process. Trust that the warm-up is really, really important. The warm-up is as important as you putting your running shoes on. Okay, so think of it like that. Please do a warm-up and you'll definitely benefit from doing so. Okay, I'll see you on the next video.